Hello, beautiful people. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, I'm back again with some good stuff. And a little intro about myself. Oh my God, there is a car that just went by that's really beautiful. Okay, back to the thing. A little intro about myself. My name is definitely Shimwe. And at first, I made this presentation for one of my clients on the consulting offer. And it was due to the fact that I wanted to discuss what happens if the service or market that you're selling to fails. Then what? Then what happens after investing all this time, after doing so much research, after investing so much money in it? Then what? Then what happens? Because you have to understand that if you pick the wrong game to play in, if you pick the wrong business to start, then you've already lost from the very beginning before you even start doing any work. So in this video, my goal is to help you make the right decision or pick the right game for your goals. When starting a business, you have to understand that to build a successful business is probably one of the hardest things to do, as there is many uncertainty and so many moving parts that being able to build a sustainable business that can last multiple decades actually includes a little bit of luck. So the goal with this training is to help you increase your luck of achieving the goal of building a sustainable business or businesses. So I personally wouldn't recommend anybody to start multiple businesses from the very beginning. It's better to only start one, put all your focus in only one, and then maybe diversify later. But from the very beginning, it's better to only start one. Unless you have so much money, then you can go ahead, but it's better to only start one. And do you have insights or experience that only a few have? So when most people are thinking of creating a business, they tend to think what they need to do is sit down and think about these two things. One is a crazy new idea that has never existed before, or a specific market that has yet to be sold to. And they spend hours, days, months, or even years thinking about mostly those two things and never make a decision. They get stuck in analysis paralysis and never build anything. And my number one advice is don't try to sit down and spend days trying to figure out what to sell or who to sell to. Instead, spend 5 minutes thinking about the current knowledge that you have and your experiences. So one of the things that I would say I realized, especially with people that are starting businesses, is they tend to avoid markets that are saturated, which I believe is not a good idea because they think that there is no money to be made anymore, which is completely wrong. When a market is saturated like that, it means that it works. People make a lot of money from it. So it's up to you to be ready to face the competition or, go ahead and spend so much time trying to figure out something on your own, which always ends up you wasting a lot of time, which is not ideal. What you want to do is try something and then, test it and go from there. You don't want to waste too much time thinking, The world was built by doers, not thinkers. You have to think, but don't dwell into thinking too much. Make sure that you put that into execution. In my opinion, the easiest path is to actually sell to an industry that you're already familiar with, an industry in which you already know what keeps them up at night, an industry that you know what problems do they have, how can you solve them, how can you help them solve their problems. That's the only way you can make loads of money. So if you already have insights about an industry that not a lot of people have, then all you would need to do is build a specific solution that solves their problem. So the great thing about selling to a market that you know very well is that it's pretty easy to come up with new ways to solve their problems, especially with the internet having so much information. It's easy to go and learn about existing products and services in other markets and then tailor them to your niche. There is so many advices on how to grow businesses. There is already very successful people on the internet talking about how they did it. It doesn't have to only be in your specific niche. You can go and watch other niches as well and then implement it according to your niche as well. Unless you're Elon Musk, then you probably don't need to copy others. But then if you're not, then you have more probability of winning in this game by copying what's already working for others. But of course, you have to make sure that you improve, or else you go out of business very quickly. So another thing to look at when it comes to building a new business and picking what business to start is opportunity cost. Because opportunity cost is the loss or benefit that could have been enjoyed if the alternative choice was chosen. It's really important to understand by picking a market and a specific model, you are deciding and making this decision to leave out a whole other opportunities, maybe even better opportunities. So you have to understand that if you're choosing to be an agency owner, it means that you are saying temporarily no to every other business. Let's say, like owning an e-commerce business that has a very high scalability, or real estate investing, or becoming a forex trader, and all these other businesses that you could be pursuing at the time. So you have to make sure that you pick the right one. That's why it's really important, because for any business that you would choose to go to, it will take some time to start seeing results. So you have to make sure that you pick the best one. But don't overthink about it though. You have to make sure that you pick one and then go straight into execution, because no matter how much planning you do, it's the execution that takes you to the next level. So before you make the decision on what business you're going to focus on, make sure that you look at your skill set and pick the best opportunity for you. Make sure that you don't simply go for the flashiest thing or something that looks good on Instagram. You have to make sure that it's actually working. You have to make sure that you put some time in it and make a smart decision with it. And you have to look at alternatives, and you have to make sure that you outweigh your options. Look at prices it takes to start, and look at the ease to achieve the results and predictability of achieving the results consistently. Okay, someone was knocking at the door. So let's take a look at a few things that you need to consider when making your decision below. So the first one is, how hard is it to learn how to deliver the transformation? Many people don't take this into consideration, but if you're going to start a business, you need to realize that it's a never-ending process of learning, unlearning, and iterating. If you're picking a market or niche that you want to sell to, please don't pick a niche that you don't know anything about, or a market where you would need to spend a whole year trying to get feedback from. I suggest to pick an industry you're familiar with, but sometimes people literally don't have any knowledge or experience with any niche. So this is where it becomes very important to pick a niche where you can get information pretty quickly. You don't want to spend a year, 5 years trying to get information. You have to make sure that it's very easy to get information pretty quickly, and find someone to outsource it to who's much experienced than you are on that topic. And 2, how much money do you need to invest before you can make any dollar back? The faster it is to make a sale, the better. You shouldn't try a business that requires you to invest thousands of dollars if you're starting out. The easiest business to start nowadays are service businesses. You can start one before you even finish this training and find someone with a specific skill set that you can sell the market to. And another one is, how accessible is your market? I personally consider this to be one of the most important criteria of a good business. And when I'm deciding or thinking of what new business I can start, I always focus on this one. Is if your market isn't congregated on specific channels, let's say WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook groups, or LinkedIn, it will be hard for you to sell your services or products, as you have a hard time finding your ideal clients. On the other hand, if your market is gathered on the same platform in a few Facebook groups, for example, then you literally have no reason to be broke, because any niche has problems. So your focus shouldn't be on finding the best niche, but finding the niche's problems that is the most accessible. And I've built my very first business and scaled it to multiple 5 figures due to having a really easy time finding the people who want my services, and of course, I solve their biggest issues. And how important is your product and how painful is the problem? You have to understand that it's very, very, very crucial to think of this one. Is your solution a nice to have or a must have? And please do me a favor, avoid selling anything that isn't a must have for the niche. Avoid and stay away from selling products or services that businesses or your markets that can live and thrive without. Because they have to feel that they need this, they must have this. If it's not there, then you're going to be a commodity. And the only time I'll suggest focusing on a nice to have offer is if you already have amazing results and great social proof and you can clearly and predictably deliver the same results. And in order to find the I need this or I can't achieve my goals offer is to figure out a painful problem that your niche is having. You most likely have many different problems that a specific niche will be facing. So then your focus should be focusing on figuring out the solution to a problem that will result into the biggest outcome. You need to deliver asymmetrical results. So how is the competition for the business that you want? If you have every person that you know selling the same thing, then you don't want to be in that as well. Yeah, I think this is pretty easy to understand, so I won't spend much time on it, but I don't want to add that the more competitive a certain industry is, the easier it is to get results actually. So you don't want to pick a niche that no one is in because you have a hard time educating the whole market why your products or services is needed. If you're starting out, I recommend just start. Don't lose time trying to focus on the blue ocean. Swim in the red ocean and become, a little shark. And another thing to look at is, do they have capital to afford your solution? This isn't as easy as it seems because literally most people over 18 can come up with money to buy for the things that they care about, things that they want. So you shouldn't only want to sell people who are full of dollars. For most people that just began, they like to focus on trying to get big companies, but you don't have really to only focus on that because literally everyone, for most people that you meet, they have an iPhone, one of the latest iPhone. They can afford it. So that's $2,000 they can pay you for your services. So make sure you're not just simply targeting only businesses that you believe would be able to pay. Focus on everyone and just make sure that your offer is good and you are solving and eliminating their pain, and you should be good. That being said, do your best to sell people with money. You will have less resistance and will have way more fun helping them solve their problems, and they will be more grateful for your help. The metric to focus on when you're trying to find out if a niche can afford your solution is how much revenue they're making and how much your solution can bring in. Even if your services or products doesn't directly increase their revenue, you need to figure out a way to qualify your outcome. And another thing to consider is, what do you have to build in order to deliver the transformation? Will you need a large team to deliver your products or services? You have to highly consider that one. Will you need to build a really complex process before you can deliver the transformation desired by your customers? So you have to make sure that you can deliver the promises that you promised on the sales call, and actually make sure that your clients are happy and satisfied with the service or products that you are providing. So you have to make sure that you understand what goes into providing those results. And unless you're Elon Musk or have a lot of money to invest in building a really complex service or products, then I recommend that you focus on building something really simple and just sell the heck out of it. Something very simple can scale so big, and when you try to build something hard to repeat and hard to deliver, then you end up affecting the luck that comes with moving with speed. And in my opinion, I would say the perfect business has high margins obviously, and helps with habit forming, and has a great offer or message, and it has to be something that others can simply copy or easily implement as well. And the last one, but not the least, is you have to think of a business that is not simply a business to start something to get out of it. Okay. And in my opinion, I would say the perfect business, one, has high margins, obviously, and helps with habit forming, and has a great offer or message. It has to be something that others can simply copy or easily implement as well. And it focuses on long term. You have to focus on helping people. You have to focus on making sure that your customers are satisfied. And that's one way I would say your business will have much success compared to if you're just getting into business to simply buy a car or live in a nice place. Even though when you have a really good business that puts clients first and you make sure that they are very satisfied, all the other things that you would like end up coming. The nice car, living in a nice place, traveling to very cool places, and everything else that you would like. With that being said, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Make sure you do all the good things, like, subscribe, and share to your friends that you believe they would like to start a business and you believe this video would be very helpful to them. And as always, I'll see you on the other side.